honestly might be the second too. I kind of want to mess with my camera a little bit, so I guess good that I'm early. That I need to see me while I'm doing it. No, not a vibe. That might be better. Actually, I don't know. Okay, that looks more normal, I think. I don't know though. I can't tell. Whatever. I kind of look like haloed out. Oh, that's why. It's this guy. That's what it was. It was the ring light. Welcome. Today we're talking about the Great Depression. I'm going to go ahead and send the Nearpod in the chat. I am so proud of myself for being early. Also, we're in a new location. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Let me know if it's better. So we're in my room. Normally we're in like my kitchen area, but this is my bedroom. I'm actually not at a desk. So normally I sit at a desk, you'll see, with my chair. But I'm sitting on the floor of my bedroom right now. I wanted to try this out, and we're going to see if we like it. I think it might be a vibe. Me watching while on the interstate. Oh my god. Welcome, welcome, welcome. New background. New year, new me, as the kids say. Hold on. Let me put on Instagram that I'm here. Yeah, I like this background a lot better. And honestly, like, so I wanted to stream in here, but I didn't have room for my desk in here. But this is how I used to teach when I was on Zoom. Like in the year, I would sit crisscross applesauce on the floor and teach like this. So I thought of it today, and I was like, oh, I should try that out. Also, because I'm about to send it in the chat right now. Also for the reason, why isn't my shit working? Also for the reason that I just sent in the chat. Also, I just realized the chat is broken. Great. We're off to a great start, you guys. But yeah. So I was like, let me just try streaming in my room. And that might be more of a vibe. And so far it is a vibe. I wish I had my chair in here, and I just don't have space for that in here. But you know, it's fine. We're making the most of it. So yeah. I had Great Depression for years, so I'm very excited for this stream. When isn't the chat broken? No, literally. Look at my shirt. It's backwards, but it says, well, call me 1929 because I'm in a Great Depression. I couldn't not wear it. Normally I like to wear tank tops so I can like just have like freedom of movement as I want to, but I was like, I can't not wear the Depression shirt on the Great Depression stream. My hair is kind of wet and it's like heavy and it's bothering me. Yeah, I know, Manny Mart. It's like actually so annoying, and there's just like a thing happening. So I was like, whatever, I'm going inside. I'm setting my space up differently. I'm not doing this. So here we are. Welcome. I have my drink though. New location. New location, besties. Woot woot. Cheers. This is the first time I've had the pink one. I like the pink one. I'm a fan of the pink one. A thing. Okay, I'm going to explain it in the chat because I don't know. I don't want to be talking about this. Like, walls are thin. Sound carries, you know? So I'm just going to chat it to you. So I appreciate everyone. This is the energy is like when you're on a work call and you're like talking shit with your friend. I'm telling you all the things right now. I like how this whole chat is just this is the group chat. Living for the typing ASMR. Oh my god, and my nails. If you just got here, we're having a story time in the chat. That's the story. I just typed you the whole thing group chat style. But that's why we're in here. But we're going to see school secretary moment. My lease is up in July. So, not much longer. And, like, it's really fine. Like, it's not like, I don't know how to phrase this, but, like, I'm not going to have a problem with people. Like, I'm not going to let you make me uncomfortable in my space. So, it's fine. But it's annoying. It's annoying. It's very annoying. But it could be worse, you know? It could be way worse. And I've dealt with situations that were way worse than what this is. Like, this is pretty minor compared to some stuff that I dealt with. Like, having little arguments over things like this is, like, not the end of the world to me. It, like, people are annoying and bitches be immature is basically the synopsis of it. But yeah, I'm moving into a place by myself, and it's going to be so fucking expensive. Right now, I pay, like, $1,300 a month, and I'm probably going to be paying, like, $2,000 a month to have a place by myself, and the place isn't going to be nearly as nice. Like, my building sucks. I hate my building. Like, the elevators are always breaking, and I hate the leasing people. Like, not the leasing people, but I hate, like, the company. But I have, like, in-unit washer and dryer. I have a dishwasher. I have a lot of square footage, considering all things. So, like, I'm going to have a downgrade in that. Like, I'm probably not going to have in-unit washer dryer, and I'm probably going to go to a studio. So that's, like, kind of garbage. But I'm excited to have my own place. Yeah, $1,300 with a roommate. South Florida be not the vibes. You know what I mean? It'd be not the vibes. Quarter life crisis. Hi. Oh my god, there's One Direction drama. I don't really know anything about One Direction. But sorry that they're having drama. Okay, but we need to focus because literally, you guys, the Nearpod has so many slides. Like, I kept thinking of more things, and then I just kept adding them, and I just couldn't stop. And so it's just a lot of slides, but it's really funny, and there's lots of memes, and it's going to be good. I was having a crisis about the cost of living in South Florida. Yeah, this is ultimately what I decided is, like, I am going to be paying too much in rent, but, like, it's not going to be that bad. Like, it's not going to be good, and I shouldn't be spending that much money, but, like, I'll still be okay. You know what I mean? Like, I'll still be able to afford everything I need to afford. I'm not really going to be able to save. So what my focus is, like, I'm going to get into this place. I'm going to be paying a lot in rent. I'm not going to be saving a ton of money. And then my goal is to get promoted and get a raise and then just keep living there. And then I can just start saving if I get promoted, because, like, I'm not going to not be comfortable in my living space. Like, I need to have a good space. So if I'm going to spend half my income on rent, that's just what the situation is. Like, so we're finding ourselves in. Like, it's not going to be forever. You know what I mean? So it sucks and it's not ideal, but I don't really have a choice. You saying South Florida vibes just made me nickname your roommate Florida One. I decided I'll be lucky to buy a house with 5 roommates in Canada, so I feel for you. Yeah. Who fucking knows? I really like this pink one. Okay, but we have... Oh, I just, like, clapped and got condensation water all over me. We have a lot to cover. We have a lot to talk about in the Nearpod about the Great Depression. You don't have to join the Nearpod, though. Like, you truly don't. If it's not your vibe, if it's not your energy, you don't have to join. But I just put it in the chat. I put a question on here. What's your Great Depression? So, if anyone wants to share what their Great Depression was. My Great Depression, I had a couple. One was, like, 2016. 2016 was a rough time for me. That's the first time I had to work hard in my life, which was not ideal. So I'm going to refresh this to see if I didn't put anything on here. So 2016, I had to work hard for the first time in my life. 0 stars. I do not like it. Very much a bad time. And then it's also when I moved out of my parents' house, which was really hard for me because, like, I don't know, that was just hard. I'd never done that before. I'm not great at, like, a social setting. Like, it's just hard for me to adjust to a new environment. I did not have that many friends in college. Like, it was just hard. Very much hard. So, that was my first one. And then my next Great Depression would be, like, spring of 2021. Was really rough because I realized, like, I hated every part of my life. Like, I was in a really terrible relationship where I was getting, like, emotionally abused. And then I was also, like, work was really bad then. like really bad, and I was just like, I can't do this. I was like, literally every day is a nightmare. And I was very unhealthy. That's when I started working out, and that's really what turned things around. Because then I was like, if I can make myself exercise, I can do anything. And then I left everybody, and I left my old life behind, and I have a new life now, and I don't know any of those people, and I will not be revisiting it, ever. After I graduated college, it was truly so unexpected. 10th grade's rough. 5th grade, 2012, the first 2 weeks of COVID when I got dumped. Ooh, dumped the first 2 weeks of COVID? That's tough. That's tough. When my parents decided to move for the best city to rural New York, also I'm in college, so I live with them over the summer, aka now. Yeah, I would live with my parents over the summer in college, and so sometimes it was not a vibe. I got dumped on April Fool's Day. Stop. They couldn't have waited one day. Did you think it was an April Fool's joke? I would have. I would have been like, ha ha ha, let's go to bed. 2018, broke up with a long-term boyfriend and he low-key stalked me. That sucks. He wrote really long, cringy emails and showed up to my house with an engagement ring. That is not a vibe, Tess. Oh, no. No. 2009, recession with divorced parents, baby. Shit, I just kicked my ring light. That ring light's holding on to its last leg. Recession with divorced parents. I'm a recession with parents that should have gotten divorced, is my categorization in that realm. Let me stop talking and airing out everybody's business before I get in trouble. I'm gonna get a call from my mom. She's gonna be like, shut the fuck up. The beginning of COVID, 4th semester of college, getting COVID. Lots of people, it's COVID. When Zayn left One Direction, I was never a One Directioner. Like, I was never a One Direction hater, but I was never a One Directioner, if you are catching my drift. But I remember when he left One Direction, and, like, bitches were crying at school, and it was, like, a lot. And I was like, oh my god, this is a big deal. Y'all are upset. Sorry for your loss. My mom didn't even know a recession happened. That's how I'm trying to be. What's your mom do? That's how oblivious I want to be. That's how unreachable and disconnected. I'll be like, there was a recession? When did that happen? OMG, during the recession, my parents split up, not because of the recession, but because my mom thought my dad was cheating with his favorite bartender. I mean, maybe that could have been part of the recession. Like, maybe he did that out of stress. Or maybe your mom thought that way out of stress, you know? When Zayn left, I cried across my college campus. When the Zayn left, I woke up, read the news at 10 a.m., and walked into the kitchen and drank a beer I hardly drink. That really was affecting y'all. That shook y'all to your core when Zayn left One Direction. This is too bright on me. I want to turn this down. When Zayn left One Direction, that had y'all fucked up. 2018, finding out I'm gay and left the Mormon church. Mentally, my parents forced me to go until a few months ago. Ugh, you have to go to the Mormon church. Rest in peace. A guy started jerking off next to me at the school library. That's not okay. Oh my god. Okay, so let's get into it. I have a picture of their last full hug as a band before Zayn left from One Direction Miami. Grad school is an elitist, toxic school. Yeah, grad school is rough. Sophomore year of college, the second year of anything sucks. The second year of anything do be hard. To be honest, the second year of anything is not fun a lot of times. Because it's like, you learned everything, so now you're just suffering. You know what I mean? My birthday being the day the U.S. shut down completely. Oh, your birthday was March 13th? So I have a friend whose birthday is St. Patrick's Day. I don't remember what day St. Patrick's Day is. But their birthday, like, no one celebrated their birthday that year. Like, no one really even told them happy birthday. Just 'cause, like, everyone was so freaking out about other stuff. Because that was, like, a couple days after. I felt really bad for them. You know? I spent the month of July 2015 studying in Barcelona, literally the happiest month of my life. Returned to my college apartment that summer, and all my friends were with their families out of town. I had the biggest dopamine crash. Oh, that would be hard to go from, like, having the time of your life to, like, being completely by yourself. That would be rough. So today we're learning about the Great Depression. I did not make this meme. I saw it on the internet. Does anyone know who that child is? Bonus point if you know who this child is. Not in a creepy way, just in a trivia way. Who is that child? Quarter life crisis. Barron. Yes, this is the Barron Trump. Barron. Sorry, I'm just thinking about when Joe Biden, the time traveler, if you will, I'm just thinking about when Joe Biden came into office. I saw this tweet, and it was like Barron walking into Joe and Joe Biden's bedroom like, I threw up. Like, you know the meme, like, I threw up. Does anyone remember the Barron Roblox stuff? No? What is that? What's the Barron Roblox stuff? Everyone was saying Barron was playing Minecraft asking for help. Is that the same thing? I don't know anything about video games. That's like, I would say video games are the topic I'm stupidest on. Like, and I'm stupid on a lot of topics. Remember when people wanted to free Barron in the summer of 2020? Apparently Biden's son shared his amateur porn with his daddy via link. Oh man, does he fucking... These children of politicians are something else. Y'all remember when Claudia Conway was begging for help on TikTok? Whatever happened with that? I still follow her. Her and her mom are, like, on better terms now, it seems. I don't really know. You guys, I had ramen for dinner, like ramen noodles. Not, like, good ones, like the packet ones. And I burned the shit out of my mouth on it. I was too excited, and I want to eat it now. You know what I mean? Okay. So, most of what we're learning today is coming from my brain because I've been obsessed with the Great Depression for basically my entire life, or when Claudia went on American Idol. That was weird when Claudia Conway went on American Idol. But anyway, this is my favorite topic. I'm so excited we're here, so excited to teach this. The neurodivergent energy in this slide. Wait. Like, you're not wrong, but I just hadn't thought of it that way. But points were made. Political kids are like preacher kids on crack. No, it's like your special interest. And this is my special interest. I love the Great Depression. Like, not, I'm glad it happened, but you know. Okay, so basically I want to give you an idea of like what we're going through and my logic in doing it in this order because there are a lot more slides than usual. But basically, the U.S. is giving me 2020 vibes, or 1920s vibes right now. Like, the U.S. right now is reminding me of the economy of the 1920s. I made a TikTok about that the other day, if you guys saw it. And we're going to talk about, like, the more details around that. And so I think, like, another Great Depression is coming because of, like, what we're going to learn about today. And then I feel like when you guys say it, you're going to be as equally as scared as I am. And I'm honestly just doing this because I don't like knowing this, and I want other people to share the burden. Wins in the East? No, literally. So that's just kind of what I want to talk about today. And then we're going to talk about how they, like, fixed the Great Depression, the New Deal. Everyone was begging for the Roaring 20s, and they didn't know what they were wishing for. You're right. I remember all those suits was like, we should have the parties like the Roaring 20s again. Fucked around. We had a pandemic and a Great Depression. I'm trying to decide if watching this is worth my mental health. So I will say, we're not going to talk about the current day much at all. Like, pretty much the next few slides talk about it like one or two times, but after that, we're only talking about the Great Depression. So if you don't want to think about today, you don't have to, and I won't be talking about today a ton, but that was like my inspo for doing this. So I'll let you make that judgment call. You know yourself better than I do. You can hear that car alarm. How's the audio? Can you guys hear me better or worse? I'm in a smaller room, so I'm wondering if it's better or worse. Can you hear the car alarm? I love city living. Yes, we love that. Better. Maybe better. Cool. Okay, so first thing we're going to talk about is the pandemic of 1918. This was a Spanish flu pandemic. It lasted 3 years. Pandemics usually last 3 years. I think COVID's going to last 3 years. Like, it's just a 3-year situation. Thrifty kids, so sorry I'm late for class, Miss Redacted. It's okay, because you're also a first-time child. That's what's going to make me forgive you. Yeah. Car alarm slay. Okay, I'm glad you couldn't hear the car alarm. It sounded really loud to me. All right, So the Spanish flu was like super fucking deadly and everything was terrible. It infected 500 million people, which is about 1/3 of the planet's population, so way worse than COVID, and killed an estimated 20 to 50 million victims, including 675,000 Americans. I know more Americans died from COVID, but if you think about like the population sizes, I think it's like they're both really bad. You know what I mean? So it was first observed in Europe and the United States and parts of Asia before swiftly spreading around the world. And it spread around the world so fast because this is right after World War I. Because you might be like, misredacted, why is it spreading around the world? People didn't do international travel back then. We didn't have like all of our stuff being made in other countries. All the soldiers moving around because of World War I spread the Spanish flu around. And everyone thinks it's from Spain because it's called the Spanish flu. But we don't know where it's from. I think it's from the United States because we're kind of problematic. It's called the Spanish flu because Spain was not involved in World War I. So Spain was like, guys, there's a fucking pandemic. And all the other countries were like, shh, we're focused on the war. No, there is not. So because Spain was the only country that was like putting this in the newspapers, that's why it was called the Spanish flu, because everyone was getting their news about it from Spain. But Spain was just the only people being like honest and acknowledging that something was wrong. The US didn't really acknowledge it until after World War I was over, and then they were like, oh my god, people are dying, we need to do something about this. At least World War III is set for after COVID. Oh my god. Okay. So, everything was bad. People had to wear masks. People were it. There were anti-maskers. Like back in the day, there were anti-maskers. We're not really going to get into it just because you can see this was already like a gazillion slides. But there were anti-maskers. They would have meetings. They would say, this violates my freedom. They would get kicked off of public transportation. It was a whole thing, the anti-maskers. Some cities had really strict masking laws. Some cities did not because the mayor was an anti-masker. Like, it's shocking how the same it is. It's really, truly disturbing. Some believe the infected soldiers spread the disease to other military camps, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, you can see here's all the people dying from the Spanish flu. So people moving around the world in mass for the first time in human history. So it's not the first time people are moving around the world, but World War I is really the only time that we see tons and tons and tons of them, like not just Americans, but people from all these countries moving in very large numbers in big groups. The soldiers moving from country to country. Didn't they wear the mask wrong below your nose? I've seen pictures of them wearing it right and wrong. I've seen pictures of both. So after the pandemic was over, the economy grew really dramatically. So basically, after people were done being quarantined and locked up and all the death was happening, they were like, I'm ready to spend some fucking money. This is, I kind of think, what's similar to COVID in the US, except because of the internet, our economic boom happened during, not after. Because, like, these people, they didn't have online shopping. They couldn't, like, book trips online to national parks and shit that a lot of people were doing. So like, I think that's why their boom was later, because the internet made it more accessible for us to spend money in the immediate, and they had to like wait till things were opening again and stuff. But yeah, you can see all throughout the 1920s, this is gross domestic product. That's like the simplest way I can explain it would be like how much money your country is worth all put together. You can see all throughout the 1920s, gross domestic product is going up really dramatically. It's just going up, 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 up until 1929. So, Americans were spending tons and tons and tons of money. They had been quarantined for a long time. Lots of people had died, so they were ready to spend money. This is also when we start seeing a lot more shopping available and things like that. We're going to talk about like the industries on the rise. Great question, Nia Mariel. What were they spending it on? So let's talk about what they were spending it on. This is like the first age of consumerism. So mass production required mass consumption, which required new ways to market goods. So what people were buying was basically these things right here. Household appliances was the biggest one, because now we have factories and mass production, things that are like Home items got a lot cheaper and a lot more accessible. Vacuum cleaners, refrigerators, washing machines, all those things like that started becoming more mainstream at this time. Before the 1920s, unless you were a fucking gazillionaire, you were not going to be able to buy any of that stuff. Now it's more normal to you. Things like the waffle iron, all that. This is also kind of the golden age of entertainment. People started going to sports. This is when we start seeing sports on the radio, sports that you can buy tickets to, and professional sports. This is when we start seeing the rise of Hollywood and movies and things like that. So people were spending their money in a variety of ways, and because the businesses wanted more people to spend more money, they started working with installment plans. Buy today, pay later. So this is basically paying a little bit at a time. I love that you pronounce my 90s mom made up name correctly. Oh my God, I got your name right. I never get anyone's name right. Okay, so now we have advertising and now we have installment buying. So basically the reason people spent a ton more money is because, one, they were like depressed after the pandemic and wanted something. Two, they have installment plans now. So now it's more accessible for them to buy that stuff. And three, that stuff's becoming more popular and cheaper. And four, now we have advertising. Before this, we didn't have advertising like we do today. Back like in the 1800s, advertisements were just descriptions. It just said, this is the product, this is how much it cost. Today, and this started in the 1920s, advertisements are selling you a lifestyle and they are selling you a feeling. They are saying this will make you happier, smarter, prettier, more successful, whatever it may be, and it's more convincing. That's the important change. Advertisement did exist before then, but it got a lot more like manipulative in the 1920s. 1920s Carlana. Yes, literally, that's what installment buying is 1920s Carlana. Is literally the meme on my next slide, the birth of the worst industry. Me realizing installment payments coming out is giving the same vibe as Afterpay today. So like Afterpay and Carlana, that's installment buying. That is ordering it today, getting it mailed to you, picking it up at the store, whatever, and then paying a little bit at a time. Embarrassed by about how often I use Afterpay. I've never used it because I take everything out of hand. Like I cannot do anything low key. Buy your waffle iron, you'll be the talk of the town. No, literally. It was like, if you buy this waffle iron, then your husband won't beat you as much. Did you ever think of that? Did you ever think of that? Oh, I should have included, like, when I was a teacher, I would show them really fucked up ads from this time period. I should have included that. Like, I would show them really sexist and racist ones. Not, like, anything inappropriate for school, but just things that they were like, they put that in the newspaper. Don't feel bad, bestie. It's the system, not you. Did credit exist at this time? Not really, I don't think. I don't know. I'm not a financial expert. I think it did, like, oh, he's buying it on credit and we know him, but not like credit cards and credit scores, because credit scores came out in the 80s, if that makes sense. So yeah, we already did this slide. Also, the Hollywood sign used to say Hollywood Land, but then they decided that was too much of a mouthful and just like fucking scrapped, I guess. So let's talk more about advertising. That's a lie. I had a waffle iron growing up, and that was not the case. Guy with a taco. Okay, so advertisement is known today because it's really started in the 1880s. So that's when advertising started, and then the 1920s, it got a lot more dramatic. This is when we start to see advertising a product change from simply announcing the existence in a dull, dry fashion to persuading the public that they need and deserve to own the product. So instead of just putting, like I use this ad as an example, instead of saying like, we are the grocery store, here are the items that we have, it's saying, hello kiddos, I've been shopping, and then he's smiling, he has all this stuff. So it's selling that moment of you bringing this home to your kids. It's not selling you on Bird's custard, it's selling you on this moment. It's like, this is gonna be you. If you come here and you buy all this garbage, you will feel the way this man in this picture feels right now. So that's what advertising is becoming. So people fell for it. I know to us, we like are really, it's easy for us to catch that. We've seen it our entire lives. We're like, oh, that's just advertising. So like back then, people would fall for the stupidest shit. Like they would fall for the stupidest shit because they weren't being skeptical. So things that would say like, oh, it'll help you get an amazing husband, people would be like, okay, because like they hadn't been lied to before. So they just like didn't feel the need to really inquire more. If I remember anything from Dave Ramsey, my dad made me listen to, it was Credit Card Started in like the 1960s. Yeah. So everyone going into debt to buy kitchen appliances for the first time. Also, if you see a meme and you're like, this should be the class photo meme, let me know, because I don't have one in mind. I really don't. This one has a lot of good memes, but if you see a good class photo one, let me know. So here are some of the ads you can see. Is for a car, proud of the refrigerator, get them ice cold, delicious and refreshing. These are just ads from the time period. Everyone's spending all their money in the 1920s because they were like, the economy's growing, the war is over. They called World War I the war to end all wars. So everyone was like, I'm gonna live forever, and just like spent all their money, and they're like, the economy's growing, we're all gonna be millionaires, like the American dream is alive, everything is great. So like no one was saving money, like no one was saving me. A little off base with that one. Yeah, I wouldn't call World War I the war to end all wars. It's not how I would describe it personally. LMO me, after successfully not getting COVID for 3 years, ready to spend it all. The war to end all wars, part 1 of many. Imagine showing that to someone fighting in World War II. Like, imagine if you could time travel and then you, like, brought an iPad to the trenches of World War I and showed them this stream. And you're like, hey, I want to watch this with you. I think they would, like, kill you. Like, I think this should be the class pick. It's a good one. I'll take a couple and then we can decide at the end. They said, what if we had one huge war, but actually have way more? All right, class picture. Everyone smile. Everyone smile for your picture. New background. Cheese. Y'all know Tasia Alexis on TikTok? Her little baby that goes, cheese. Okay. World War III writers. Okay, but what if there was one more? Just one more. No regrets for me. Not even one letter. The way I actually smile when you say smile. I should start saying it like an angry mom at a picture day. Smile! Smile. That's how I always said it. I was like, hey, smiling. Hey. Okay. So, let's get into actually what caused the Great Depression. So that's like the vibes of the 1920s. Obviously, that's not everything that happened in the 1920s, but let's go ahead and get into what caused the Great Depression. Also, if you notice, this, like, Nearpod is a lot more, like, I don't know, organized with a little list and stuff, because this is the one that I would use with my class. Like, I added way more stuff into it, and I combined a couple of things together. But a lot of the slides are from old school ones. Not your Southern accent coming out when you said smile. See, this is what everyone's saying, is that I have an accent and I don't know what you're talking about, because I don't. Like, y'all say it and my boyfriend says it. It's like, oh, your Southern accent. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I sound like a newscaster. I do not have an accent. What accent? I do not have an accent. Like y'all say. You said smile. My students say I have one too, but I'm literally from the city I teach. They said, you're not from here, ma'am. Like, get out. We don't know you. All right, so one of our problems that led to the Great Depression was overproduction combined with underconsumption. So the 1920s saw rapid economic expansion, and people were buying all that shit like we talked about. Cars, radios, refrigerators, whatever. By the end of the 1920s, most of the people that could afford that stuff or bought them on credit already had that thing. Because, like, are you going to buy a new refrigerator every year? Are you going to buy a new car every year? Are you going to buy a new waffle iron every year? No. So it was like everyone and their fucking mother was buying cars and waffle irons from 1921 till 1925, but Now it's 1928 and everyone's like, I already have all my shit and I have all these monthly payments for all my shit, so I can't really buy any more shit. So everyone just has tons of items at this point. But the factories are still producing like everyone's buying the way that they were. My mom's wife is from Chicago and calls our Missouri accent Southern. I thought those were caskets in the image and thought this was great foreshadowing. No, they're cars. They're cars. So inventory started to pile up. Manufacturers were producing more goods than they could sell. With unsold inventory, manufacturers cut production, laid off workers, which caused unemployment to rise. So towards the end of the 1920s, like, the vibes are kind of getting not great. Like, businesses are starting to kind of be like, this isn't going that well. Kind of what I know I said I was not going to talk about today. I'm sorry. This is the last time, I promise. Actually, it's probably not the last time. But you know how for the first time, like, Target and some of the other big retailers are like, hey, our sales are down. That's kind of what this is, where it's like, okay, interesting. Your sales have been going up dramatically for a long time. Why is it going down? So that's kind of what I draw it to. Oh my god, this one has a little matchy. Look, if you're on the Nearpod, I'm going to send it in the chat again. I told you I used to use this one with students. So this is a little matchy where the kids could do it with, like, to make sure they knew what I was talking about. Because, like, kids don't really know what surplus means. Especially a lot of the kids that were still, like, learning how to speak English. But yeah, and look, you can make the pictures bigger. This is actually scary. Sorry, I'll stop being scary. But yeah, if you want to do the Nearpod, you can do the little matchy like that. I just started it. Sorry, I didn't realize I had a timer on there. There you go. Have fun doing your matchy. Give a minute. So it's scary, but I think we'll end on a hopeful note, because this is why we got the New Deal, and the New Deal really built our country and changed our country. So where there is suffering, there is progress. Or one has to hope. You know what I mean? Right, so many of you did it perfect on the first try. I guess I showed you the answers. Aren't the little matchy kind of fun, though? I liked these when I was teaching. I would do them, like, I would have the big screen and have the kids come up there and, like, yeah, yes, slay. Semi-intelligent. I'm sure you're more than semi-intelligent. The matchy was fun. Next time I won't show you the answers. I need to text my boyfriend. Hold on. Pause. Can you do the matchy on your phone? Hell yeah, you can do the matchy on your phone. Hell yeah. If you just Google, like, join Nearpod, and then you can enter the little code that's up here, and it'll let you do all the things on your phone. All right, so yes, I just got here. Welcome. You're totally fine. Wonderful Max 80. So let's talk about what people were doing in the stock market. So now we're going to talk about, like, kind of boring stuff, so we're going to try and make it quick. Basically, people were buying stocks on speculation. Speculation is when you buy something to sell it for more money later. You could buy land on speculation. You could buy a Beanie Baby on speculation. You could buy a stock on speculation. That's what it means. So during the 1920s, the government did not regulate banks or the stock market, and bankers often placed depositors' money into very unsound investments, and private banks lent money to stock market speculators. So purchasers were able to buy stocks on margin. Basically, their plan is, I'm going to borrow money, I'm going to invest it into the stock market. Oh, the chat is frozen. So their plan is, I'm going to borrow money from the bank. I'm going to invest it into the stock market. And then I'm going to make so much money, I can pay off my loan and then have extra money for me as well. Is like their fucking genius plan that's going to make everyone a gazillion dollars off the stock market. So naturally, you can see that is a very risky plan. Very risky. But it's the 1920s. We're never going to die. The stock market's just going to keep going up. We've been doing it for years and never had a problem, so why would it be a problem? This worked well in a bull market. A bull market is where the stock prices are just keep going up. So here's a simplified version of this. Analog NFTs. Oh my God. So Bob borrows $100 from the bank. Bob borrows $100 to buy stock in ABC company. Bob is buying on margin. Bob is in debt. Then lots of people start selling their stocks. Bob's stock is now worth only $80. He is still $100 in debt, but his stock is only worth $80. Lots of people start panicking and selling the stocks. Bob is afraid of losing everything, so he decides to sell his stock for $32. So Bob is still $100 in debt, but his stock only sold for $32. This happened to tons of people at the same time. So this is the people that are speculating in the stock market and buying on margin. This is what's happening to them. So banks loaning out all their money to random dudes investing into the stock market throughout the 1920s. This is also a good, why is this sounding like my bachelor's degree? Wait, is it? What's your bachelor's degree in? Getting that degree on margin. The stock market was a mistake. I also agree the stock market was a mistake. We could have just not done that. We could have just not fucking done that at all. You know? This is my other contender for class photo. So I'm going to take the photo. Everyone smile. Smile. Stocks are just astrology for men. I think I like that one because of the chat, because it says the stock market was a mistake and stocks are astrology for men. Not at saying it's worth very little, and I'm still in debt. Who was buying the stock like right before the crash? It was more people doing this bullshit. Like, this is the crash right here. This is what happened in the crash, which we're going to talk about. It happened to a few specific companies before the crash, but it didn't happen like widespread until the crash. So let's get to the crash. It went from toasters to stocks, damn. Small. Should that be my merch? It just says smile. I had someone tell me they only had a little debt and it was $40K. 2022 version is air fryers to crypto. Stop, I'm scared. Stop. So much of history could be summed up by we didn't have to do that, but we did. So October 29th, which is 1929, is the crash of 29 and known as a Black Tuesday. This is in the game. We're going to play a game at the end, and this is on there. There's other stuff too, but we're going to play a game, and this is on the game. So prices kept going lower, people contemplated to sell, and no one was willing to buy. In only 3 weeks, stocks lost half their value and $30 billion disappeared. So many historians and me believe that the stock market set off a chain reaction. Corporations could no longer raise money. Business prospects became gloomy. So sorry I'm late. Went on a Dairy Queen one. Sorry, Mr. Action. I would give my left tit for a blizzard right now. I would love a blizzard right now. But anyway, businesses start failing, and people who lost their money in the crash couldn't repay their loans, which led to a series of bank failures. So Black Tuesday caused a bank run. A bank run is when everyone shows up at the bank and is like, give me my fucking money. Love your new background, suits you very well. I feel like we're into this new location. I need something fuzzy to sit on. There's a blanket. Hold on. I'm going to try and get it down without knocking anything over. I don't know if there's anything on top of it. Oh, there was a little bit of stuff on top of it. But I have shorts on, and sitting on the carpet in the shorts was just like not feeling good on my skin. So I'm going to sit on this blanket, but I need to try and get on top of it without knocking my computer over. People talked about doing a bank run, that Mother's Day strike. Oh yeah, did anything happen with that? Oh, this is much better. Sunadot, thank you for subscribing. I always think of that scene in Mary Poppins when I think of bank runs. Okay, so Black Tuesday bank runs. Basically, everyone shows up to the bank and is like, give me my fucking money. And the bank is like, we don't have any of the money. So banks had to close their doors because they didn't have any more money. When people went to get in their cash, the bank was closed, so they lost everything. which sucks. It's very much garbage. So let's talk about what happened to the people that were not invested into the stock market. Because a lot of people think like, oh, back then it's only the stock market. Like, if you're not invested, you're totally fine. That's wrong, because look, back then banks had no rules. So I made this graphic. This is Dan. Dan puts their paycheck into the bank to save it. Dan is not investing into the stock market. Dan is just putting his money in the bank. The bank loans the money to all these random fucking people. These people use borrowed money to invest into the stock market. This was very common in the 1920s. Like we said, the government didn't regulate banks. Then Black Tuesday happened and the entire stock market crashed. So the stocks people invested in, these people, are now worthless and they cannot pay back this loan. So this loan is Dan's money. The bank loaned Dan's money to these people. Now Dan goes to the bank to get his money because he needs to pay his rent. The bank is closed and has no money because they loaned it all out. Dan goes to work the next day and his boss is like, hey, our company is closing. We lost everything in the stock market crash. Head home. There's no work for you here. So now Dan is broke, unemployed, and he's going to get evicted. This happened to millions of Americans at the exact same time. I'm glad you're into the pic. It took me a while to make it. I redid it a couple times. This is when I was teaching too. Thank you for this image. See, this is what I miss about teaching is I loved making stuff like this. Like I loved having like kind of confusing things. And I was like, this is actually not that confusing. You can just like see it, you know? Like you need to see what's happening with the words and then it makes sense. So did no one profit from this? So at first the banks were. Like at first, before the stock market crashed, the banks were living their best life because they're making money off the interest. So like these people are making investments, the investments go well, the bank gets interest, everybody's happy. But once the stock market crashed, they're not making money anymore. Is a bank run similar to what happened in the movie It's a Wonderful Life? That is not just similar, that's exactly what it is. In that movie, when everyone's at the bank, that is this. That is during the Great Depression when the bank runs happened. Like, that's what that's showing, is exactly that. So thank you for bringing that up. Did the stock market just crash because everyone was doing the margin borrowing, or was it something else? So the stock market crashed. I would say the biggest reason that the stock market crashed was this. Like, these companies were just not selling at the level that they had been previously. And it just kind of came to a point that it broke, you know, like it was a dramatic crash. I don't know why it was so, like, you know what I mean? I missed a Joe Exotic meme. I'll go back and see it. But basically, the companies just got too... What I don't understand is interest. Where does it come from? Interest is just someone charging you for borrowing money. It's just like the fee that you're paying for borrowing the money. So like, you just have to... Oh, you mean when you gain interest. Where does that come from? That I do not know. That one is lost on me. I'm going to be honest. I have no idea. I only understand the one where I'm giving them money. Where they give me money, it feels like a trap. Oh, here's the Joe Exotic meme. From a business perspective, I don't understand why these companies didn't invest in other industries that have more consistent purchasing. It's also like, it was the 1930s. We know a lot more about the economy now and like healthy investments and all that shit. It's a fee the bank pays you for letting them use your money. Yeah, so when the bank loans out my money, the interest that I get is the fee. Yeah, basically. Thank you. That drink. This is the Joe Exotic meme. I'm never going to financially recover from this. Having your entire life savings in the bank. Going to the bank and finding out the stock market crashed and the bank lost all the money and then closed. Not a vibe. But where does the bank get it? The bank gets it because they've made so much interest off other things. So it's the bank's money, I think. Like, it's their money that they're paying me, that they've made. I feel like whenever my hair is drying, I look like a Duggar. Like, I hate the way my hair looks when it's, like, half drying. Like, I literally hate that for me. So much. Garbage rat. Where does the bank get it? I hate finance. Like, it's literally, they make it so confusing for no reason. So, not only do we have all that bullshit going on, can Mr. Redacted make a guest experience to explain interest to us? Let me ask him. I'm texting him right now. Okay. Normally I use voice to text and it's a lot faster. Mr. Redacted is a finance bro. He works in finance, but he doesn't have finance bro energy. Don't worry. Okay. We'll see what he says. Finance makes me feel so dumb. The only reason I understand it a little is because I work in financing. Secret agent finance, bro. No, exactly. Okay, so not only do we have all that bullshit going on, the economy is crashing, whatever. Usually, if not me low-key fangirling over Mr. We need him to make an appearance. So, let me focus. So, usually, if, like, the U.S. is doing kind of bad, then we sell our stuff to other countries. Like, we sell American goods to other countries. And we're like, hey, do y'all want our shit? But we couldn't do that because our bitch-ass government passed the Smoot-Hawley tariff. American producers might have been able to sell their goods overseas, but American tariffs were passed. So basically, this made the stock market even worse. A tariff is extra money that you have to pay for an item because it's from another country. So other countries didn't want to buy our shit because we had passed all these tariffs on them. So they were like, you're taxing our shit like crazy, so why would we want to buy your shit? So they passed tariffs on us. So it's like an import tax. Yeah, pretty much. So like basically we put tariffs on all these other countries because we were like, our economy is bad. We want Americans to buy American stuff. Let's put tariffs on everything from other countries. And then a year later, when we were like, our economy's really bad, do you want to buy our stuff? They were like, bitch, no. We put tariffs on you too. We don't want to buy your stuff because you tariffed us first. They make money complicated because they don't want us to understand it. It's for the exploitation. Sunadot, that was the perfect. That was the perfect first time chat. Also the person who said Mr. Redacted took your last name. This is what my boyfriend just said. He said, interest is the cost that the borrower pays to the lender. Do you think we know what that means? You cannot possibly think that this crowd knows what that means. Who? Not me. I don't know what that means. We're not getting into that right now. Sundot read the vibes around here immediately and fits in perfectly. No, literally. This feels like when I was a teacher, sometimes I would get a new kid. Like, that would happen a lot. I would get a new kid. Like, just randomly, a new kid would show up. And 80% of the time, it was mad awkward. Like, they felt awkward. I felt awkward because I'm trying to, like, do first day of school shit with them. But also, I have a whole class I need to teach. Like, 80% of the time, it was mad awkward. Oh, the chat froze. But 20% of the time, it was awesome. Like, 20% of the time, that new kid was just what the class needed. Like, they came in and just immediately read the room and fit in and had great energy. Loved when that would happen. It was like not every time, but it was super cool when it did. And honestly, I think the times that it happened, it was just like a personality match. Like, the kids either knew someone or had like already joked around with those kids in another class. Like, you know what I mean? I got a new kid 4 days before my EOC. Oh my God. I would be crying and throwing up. He thinks we're smarter than we are. We need us to talk to you. That's too funny. Okay. So, rent a library book, borrow. You rent a library. Okay. So now the depression is becoming worldwide because we passed that tariff. That was super bad for international trade. Love that for us. American banks and investors. Oh, wait, that's not what I was saying. So we passed that tariff. That was super bad for international trade. Everything is terrible, blah, 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 whatever. To make matters worse, American banks and investors had invested overseas to help after World War I. So we had been giving money to all these countries. Like, especially European countries were used to getting that check from Uncle Sam. Like, they were used to getting that money and getting that coin from our government. Now that our economy's crashing, our government is like, y'all are gonna have to fucking take care of yourself. Like, our government treated these countries the way that parents treat like a 19-year-old kid when a crisis happens. Like, they're like, you need to move out. Like, we're dealing with this. We have no money. You need to leave because you are grown. Like, that's essentially what we did to Europe. Like, just a really unprompted, like, unwarned, all of that. So now that the American banks and investors had called into those funds and those new loans were canceled and the trade was bad, like, the aesthetic of this graphic is giving a high school social studies textbook. So you were fucking spot on with that, and I'm hoping I don't get in trouble with anybody for this, but like I said, this is the Nearpod that I used with my students, like, or not all of it, but some of the slides I used with my students, and that picture is from their textbook, and I left it in there because I felt like it did a good job explaining it. I actually really liked the textbook that I used. It was pretty good, like, speaking comparatively to the other. So the redacted part of your name is McGraw. Did you use the Gateway ones? Yes, I did. That was not our official textbook. It was a supplemental text, but I used it as the textbook. Mr. Dacton McGraw-Hill is on line 1. Pearson sees all. The only reason I think I might not get in trouble is it's like a smaller company, and I like talked to the guy one time and he sent me some stuff. So, like, sorry if you didn't want me to do this. I won't do it again. So this is interesting. Very, very interesting. That shit is good and to the point and surprisingly accurate for Florida. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's very, like quarter life crisis, you know. Like, it wrote it clearly to the point, did what it needed to do, like, was accurate, included a decent amount of perspective, and didn't whitewash things nearly as bad as other textbook. There's definitely times in that textbook I would read something and I'd be like, that's not what happened. But overall, much better than usual. So, also throughout the 1920s and when the Great Depression started, there was an uneven distribution of wealth. So, like, the top 1% was controlling the entire economy, basically. Like, they had a lot of big monopolies back then, especially on, like, steel and oil and stuff like that. They were super rich, very much like the partying, of the 1920s was these people. So this little graphic right here, an income of $2,500 per year was the minimum for a standard decent of living. And as you can see, 65% of the population was not making that amount of money. This graph is 1930, the 1930 census, I believe. So 65% of the population was not making that amount of money, but then you can see 1% of the population is making over $10,000, so 5 times as much as you need to have a good standard of living. I would say today's income inequality is, like, even more intense than this. But there's also just, like, more money in circulation now. So we wished for the 20s, but we forgot we are the proletariat, R.I.P. Elon Musk, who... Oh, so, like, now... Wow, where have I seen this before? You might have seen this graph in a high school history class, especially if it was mine. So, the Depression was a national fucking nightmare. The Depression officially started with that crash of 1929, so we're going to kind of talk about, like, what the vibes were and what life was like during the Great Depression. Today, a CEO makes 1,000 times more than the average employee. I'm sure that's true for the organization I work for. Actually, because I'm kind of hating my hair, I'm just going to put this cowboy hat on because I want my hair to, like, dry, so I don't want to have it clipped up. But I don't like the way it looks. So I'm just going to wear this. And then this will just have to be in our class picture. Kill all CEOs. Wait, my mom is the CEO of a small business. Kill all CEOs with more than 5,000 employees. Actually, no. We should do it by revenue, not by employees. It should be by the ratio. This is how we should do it. It should be by the ratio of the CEO pay compared to this their lowest paid employee. You know what I mean? So like if you're a CEO of a business that has 5 employees and Craig from marketing makes $50,000 a year, like you're going to have to compare to him. But like if you're a CEO of a company that has like a gazillion employees, you're going to be compared to the janitor. Like if you have one, you are. You are. Ratio of 100 to 1, you're done. Exactly. I don't know what the number should be. We would have to talk to some more experts about like what's kind of normal. Because I'm not in favor of people making a lot of money. Like if you're running shit, you should make the most money. That's fair. But like, let's not get fucking crazy. You know what I mean? Let's not get crazy. Or do DoorDash and make them deliver once a month, but spend a week doing normal people's jobs. They have to be Craig from marketing. Okay. So, the human experience of the Great Depression, terrible nightmare, very much awful. Tens of thousands of businesses failed. 500,000 farmers lost their farm. A quarter of American banks failed. Imagine if 1 out of 4 banks lost everyone's money. Imagine if out of 4 banks, there's probably 4 banks within like 2 miles of your house. Imagine if out of one of those, every single customer lost everything. Imagine how that would affect your neighborhood. Think about that. If 1/4 of the people lost fucking every cent they had in the bank, that'd be really bad. That'd be really bad. It was really bad. I'm from Nebraska, so every time we talk about the Roaring 20s and the Great Depression, we talk about the Dust Bowl right after. I don't know about other states. We about to talk about the Dust Bowl today. I'm obsessed with the Dust Bowl. We have a whole section dedicated to the Dust Bowl. So yeah, the Great Depression was a nightmare, and we had no safety net like we have today. There was no unemployment relief, there was no retirement benefits, there was no insurance on the banks. So for people that had been working for years, they would lose their job, lose their savings, lose their income, and then be on the streets begging. And we didn't have food stamps, we didn't have rental assistance, we didn't have Social Security, we had none of that shit. So the only people helping were like churches and private charities and like soup kitchens and stuff like that. So the average family income dropped by 40%. This is a question in the game. The average family income dropped by 40%. So that means if you're making $100,000 a year, now you're making $60,000 a year. What would my income be if it dropped by 40%? Let's look that up. I would make $39,000 a year if my income dropped by 40%, and I could not live on that. Madeline Pendleton, we're talking about her in the chat. I love her account. My grandma's dad literally got paid in coal during the Depression. Yeah, that was very much like the vibe that people were doing. Why, people talking about books in the chat. We love to see it. So, more than $1 billion in bank deposits were lost. 300,000 companies went out of businesses. Hundreds of thousands of families could not pay their mortgage. And around 200,000 migrants moved to California. And the average American family lived by the motto, use it up, wear it out, make do. Use it up, wear it out, make do, or do without. So basically, get the fuck over it if you don't have what you need and figure it out because we're all down bad. Also, birth control really wasn't that great at this time, so a lot of people also had a lot of kids, which would have fucking sucked. If you want to learn more about birth control, my birth control stream is on the YouTubes. I think it's still here, actually. I love your house so much. Where did you get it? I got this from missamazon.com. So these are some pics from the Great Depression. This is a bank run right here. This is American Union Bank. You can see everyone showing up, and it's like, where's the fucking money? Where is the money? Where is it? Or I could use one of these pics for the last picture. This is free cup of coffee and donuts for the unemployed. You can see mad dudes ready to get their free coffee or donut. This is a famous photo. This photo is called Migrant Mother. She's only like 33. You can tell that she's feeling rough. My grandpa grew up then and didn't own a toothbrush until he was a teenager. Oh, God. And I just realized the chat's broken. I am so blessed that I was born into the body and lifetime that I was born into. I really do not handle adversity well. I don't think I could have lived without a toothbrush. I guess you wouldn't know what you're missing, though. You know what I mean? I never thought about how old she is. Yeah, she was like pretty young in this pic. She was just down bad. And then these kids, why can't you give my dad a job? If someone did this today, people would call CPS on them. This is a different line, free coffee and donuts, free soup, coffee and donuts for the unemployed. It's a different angle of the same line. Here's this family. There are too many kids in that pic of the woman. This one, yeah, so count them 1, 2, 3, 4 was a common number. I think the average person had like 3 or 4 kids back then. Another family, 4 kids. God. People would wear signs, like mainly men would wear these signs, basically like putting their resume on a sign. So it says, I know 3 trades, I speak 3 languages, fought for 3 years, so he probably fought in World War I, have 3 children and no work for 3 months, but I only want 1 job. So people would wear these signs asking for work. Here's another one, wanted a decent job, family man, they would put their age, paying on a home, college trained from Chicago, purchasing, accounting, like all of that. Basically just walk around the city all day and be like, who's hiring? Who is hiring? I would like employment. Thank you. Atlas Soir, thank you for following. Great movie that depicts the Great Depression is Cinderella Man. Oh, I haven't seen that. Who will help me get a job? I do not want charity. This is crazy. 4 children for sale. People sold their kids. So, like, if people couldn't feed their kids, sometimes they would sell them to other people, which is telling me a lot of kids probably experienced a lot of not okay things. Because if someone's willing to buy a child and feed it during the Great Depression, that's a red flag. This is where boomers got the idea to hand deliver their resumes. Wait, you might be on to something. You really might be onto something, because they're like, oh, my dad taught me when the times were tough, hand delivering the resume was the thing, you know? Like, you really might be onto something. Kim Kardashian wouldn't have let this happen. I don't think she would have. I really don't think she would. I think you're right. Kim Kardashian would not have let this happen. Here's this recipe for depression soup. So I saw this on Tumblr years ago, and someone thought that it was like a recipe for when you're depressed, like an easy meal to make if you're depressed. But like my depression meal is pizza rolls, because I just put them in the air fryer and it's very easy. This depression soup, I think you'd be more depressed after eating it, personally. No, because this actually smacks. Not to take like a really dark turn, but this is so sad. I can't imagine what it was like for people of color. There is a slide, and we are going to talk about African Americans in the Great Depression. It was hard to find statistics about Hispanic people in the Great Depression. Couldn't find much. Not even any spice. You don't have spice. It's the Great Depression. Here is some pictures of some kids in this soup line. I'm surprised people didn't have more comments about the children for sale. Like, I feel like we kind of just glossed over that, I'm going to be honest. I'm surprised not more people had things to say. Speaking of, here's an African American couple living in lots of these, like, tent cities would pop up. Like, not housing, like tent cities. And then we already saw this pic, but this is an employment agency, so these were OVs. Hoovervilles, yes, they're called Hoovervilles. We'll talk about why. That's the president's name. Farmhand, things like that. Good wages. Yeah, so you can see kind of what life was like during the Great Depression. It was not good, very much not a vibe. So African Americans experienced even worse hardship during the Great Depression, which is pretty on brand for the United States. So they were said to be last hired, first fired. So when companies, like, basically they felt the effects of the Great Depression sooner, stronger, and longer than the white population did. Because as soon as companies started making layoffs, they laid off all the people of color first. And then when they started hiring again, they hired the people of color last. So you get what I'm saying, that it's like the same effects, but more intense. For sale, children never fed. No, literally. People saying systematic racism doesn't matter today. Yeah, they're wrong. So African American unemployment doubled or tripled the unemployment of white Americans prior to the Great Depression. African Americans worked in primarily unskilled jobs. You have to remember this was less than 100 years after the end of slavery, and they didn't have access to education like in the world today. African Americans are still experiencing Jim Crow, all that stuff, so this would make sense. They're mostly in unskilled jobs. Those entry-level, low-paying jobs either disappeared or were filled by whites in need of employment. So what would happen a lot is companies, like, let's say I'm Bill, I own a company. My best friend Rob gets laid off. My company's still doing well. I'm going to be like, oh, Rob, I can fire all my black employees and hire you and your white employees instead. So, like, a lot of people lost their jobs before the economy crashed, basically. Like, how much of your wealth comes from your parents? Yeah, a lot of it, for me especially. According to the Library of Congress, black unemployment rates reached approximately 50% in 1932. In Atlanta, nearly 70% of black workers were jobless by 1934. So it really, really dramatically affected the black community more than the white community, which is, again, pretty on brand for the U.S. This is interesting. For decades prior to the Great Depression, African Americans had voted for the Republican Party. Radical Republicans were against slavery. We're not going to get into that right now, but basically the Republican Party back then was not the vibes that we know today. So most African Americans were Republican because Republicans were who ended slavery, so that makes sense. But this is still seen as, like I said, the party of the emancipation. But Franklin Delano Roosevelt was so popular, that's what made a lot of African American people switch to become more Democratic voters, which today, if you look statistically, most African American people vote democratically. So yeah, that's kind of when that change happened, that Democrat-Republican switcheroo. That's part of it. So, to make matters way fucking worse, we also have the Dust Bowl. I'm also obsessed with the Dust Bowl. So, the Dust Bowl was a name basically for all these big-ass fucking dust storms. So, you can see here's a picture of the dust storm right here. And when I say a dust storm, it's not just like, oh my god, it's a little dusty and windy outside. When the dust hits your skin, it burns you. And if you breathe it in, you die. That's what the dust storm is. Which is weird, because wasn't FDR super racist and hated when Eleanor got involved with helping black people in the era? Probably. I can't confirm that, but that sounds right. But yeah, so this is what the Dust Bowl looks like. This is dust storm damage, so you can see everything in, like, the middle part of our country. Kansas, Colorado, Oklahoma. It was the worst in, like, Oklahoma, I think. But you can see very much bad, very much affecting. Why does it burn? You know when you're at the beach and the wind is on you and the sand burns? It's kind of like, it's because it's sharp. Like, the sand is little tiny rocks, so if it's hitting you in strong wind, it, like, burns. Did you see the TikTok where a sorority put the Dust Bowl as their theme of recruitment? It would leave teeny tiny cuts too. Yeah, so like your skin would be all like red and blistered and like fucked up afterwards. Yeah, it was really bad. Terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. The Dust Bowl. So, what caused the Dust Bowl? Basically, there was a drought and then poor agricultural practices. Basically, the farmers, like, they girl bossed too close to the sun and destroyed all the land is, like, the SparkNotes version of it. The non-SparkNotes version is after the World War I, pandemic moment, whatever, farmers tried new farming techniques and they started buying plows. So also now, I love your TikTok and so glad I could catch a stream. You're amazing at teaching. Oh my god, thank you, Spicy Mal. They said no crop rotation here. Yeah, basically, like, you're supposed to plant different crops at different times to, like, keep the soil good. Because if I plant corn every single year, my soil is running out of the nutrients that corn likes. So I need to plant, I don't fucking know, strawberries one year. Because then the nutrients will start to balance out. Like, you have to plant different shit all the time, or else the soil starts to be bad. Is essentially like the synopsis of it. It never occurred to me why the Dust Bowl happened. It wasn't just a freak weather event, so thank you. Yeah, it wasn't just a freak weather event. But basically, they bought more plows and farming equipment, so they had crazy amounts of crops. Like, they were really just over-farming the land because they didn't really know any better. So, overproduction coupled with the Great Depression also made the prices go down a lot. So, it was also like, they were producing too much. People were too poor to buy it. The farmland was like unusable at this point. It basically just sucked. So the land becomes super dry and super like sandy and dusty because the soil doesn't have any nutrients. Didn't FDR want to plant trees along the Canadian border because of the wind coming down or something? He was very pro tree, so maybe, but I don't know about that. So this is literally farmers learning how to use technology better and accidentally destroying states worth of land. Because, like, before, when it was just their small farms and they were doing everything by hand and with, like, basic tools, the land was okay. But now that they have the plows and they have huge farms, the land, like, can't handle that. Serious, we went from Great Depression straight into World War II. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we did. The production from World War II is what helped us get out of the Great Depression. It is. We're going to look at a graph about it. So, during the Dust Bowl, there were over 100 million acres of land affected. There were 14 dust storms in 1932 and 38 dust storms in 1933. So, when we're talking about these dust storms, there were points in time where the dust was being carried all the way to the East Coast. In East Coast cities like DC and New York, people were like, why is it so fucking dusty in the air? Like, by the time it got there, it wasn't so intense that it was, like, causing problems, but it was noticeable and people were coughing and shit. So these giant dust storms in the middle of the country were, like, literally rocking our shit everywhere. So when the drought hit the Great Plains, roughly 1/3 of farmers left their homes and went to California. They were called Okies because people thought everyone was from Oklahoma, but most of them weren't even from Oklahoma, but they still called them Okies. I don't really know. So they left behind the parched lands in economic despair, and then basically were like, I'm going to go to California. Grapes of Wrath moment. Yeah, that book, The Grapes of Wrath, and it's a movie. It's like about these people, the Okies. So obviously California was like, bitch, it's the Great Depression. We can't fucking deal with you right now. I honestly believe every shady theory is related to the government. If the Midwest got dust on me, I would hands down fight a Missouri and keep your roast on. So yeah, basically, when these people were going to California and some of them went to East Coast cities as well, the cities were like, who are you? We don't have fucking time for this. And, like, the people would, like, look a type of way and would be, like, wearing rags, and, like, it would be obvious that they were, like, farm people, and they would have, like, a thick accent, and people would be like, literally, who the fuck are you? We're not going to give you a job. We have enough problems. Everyone in major cities, the Great Depression could not be worse. People in Oklahoma. Bitch, we don't have jobs. East Coast people. I think this should be our class pick. I like this picture. Okay, everyone smile. 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 It's so awkward. I hate having to smile for a picture when you're, like, right here. Make sure you can see my hat. Okay. Your cowboy hat makes it the ultimate class pick. Yeah, this is a good meme. I thought of this one last minute. I added it in last minute. I was proud of this one. But yeah, like, imagine you just fled Oklahoma. Like, you've literally been traveling for days through dust, and you get to New York, and you're like, ugh, I'm finally safe. And someone is like, all these fuckers from Oklahoma taking our jobs. The Great Depression literally could not be worse. And, like, it could. Have you been to a dust storm? Like, check your privilege. Check your city depression privilege. If you've never lived through country depression, I don't want to hear you talking shit. I don't want to hear you talking shit if you've only lived through city depression. It's Kim. The Great Depression is low-key not the vibe. No, it's not at all. Yeah, so most of the farmers left. They were like, I can't fucking do this. Like, they literally just abandoned their farms, and, like, here, in these pictures, you'll fucking see why. Like, I'm sorry, you can't live here after that. Look at it. This literally looks, you guys know the movie Twitches? You know that movie Twitches about the twin witches? And you know the darkness, how it, like, and would, like, grab people? That's what this looks like. That's what the Dust Bowl looks like, is literally the little demon from Twitches. Someone tell me I'm wrong. I dare you to tell me I'm wrong, because I'm not wrong. You know it and I know it. So, here's some children, like, hiding from the dust. Like, you can see, they're, like, all super dirty. Okies, this land sneering Californians. It's not the land. This is Glendale. So yeah, here's some kids in this, like, trailer, I guess. And, like, this is what it looked like after. So you can see why these people abandoned their land. Like, some of these people had been on this land for a long time. Like, their family had been on this land for generations. Like, 2 or 3. Obviously, it was the Native Americans' land before. But people had been on this land since, like, the early to mid 1800s. And they literally just, like, left. They were like, fuck it, I guess. That last meme went by fast, but also fire. So here's some kids. You can see no birth control, just vibes. No birth control, just vibes. Yeah, like it really would just fuck up everything. Here's again this dust cloud. Like that fence is not going to be there. That barn is not going to be there. No way, Jose. No way that's happening. Here's people like running through the dust. People would wear these thingies to try and protect them from the dust. No birth control, only dust. Imagine waking up on your straw mattress that probably has bed bugs in it to your abusive alcoholic husband and your 4 children and you're pregnant and then there's a dust storm. How is suicide not more rampant? I would have been out of there. I would have been like, nah. Oh my god, the next pic is disturbing. I'm sorry. It's this little kid walking with these goggles and the mask on to protect them from the dust. And again, here is the kids and the goggles and the mask to protect them from the dust. So very much not okay, very much not a thing. You can see here's like the dust it left behind. So you can tell it's soil. It's basically sand. So this is that dry soil that's getting picked up by the wind. So it was the perfect storm of like the bad... If I saw that kid emerge from a dust cloud, I would die on the spot. Imagine you're like holding your door shut, trying to protect your house. There's dust coming in the windows and through the cracks, and then you look out the window and that little fucking child is standing there. Gonna go as a dustable kid for Halloween this year. Oh my god, that's something I would do, and I'd be mad about it too. I'd be at a party, I'd be like, why does no one know who I am? This is a great costume. The kid's showing up at my bed saying he threw up. Your kid comes up to you in dustable glasses. I threw up. It's terrible. We're all terrible. So would you stay? Ow. Would you stay or would you leave? Like if you were one of these people that had a farm and you had land, would you stay or would you go? I would leave. Oh, if you want to vote in the Nearpod, I'd leave America. If you want to vote in the Nearpod, just put it in the chat. I'm out. Immediately no. I'd be like, I'm good. I'm good on this. I'm so good on this. Like, y'all enjoy yourselves. Have a great time. Because I'm so good. And I'm leaving. And I'm going. Because I'm good. And I don't want to be here. And I don't like it. So I'm gonna go. Oh my god. Dusty Croissant. You would stay? Oh no. Wait. Who's saying they would stay? Fuck that dust. I'm out. It's my land and I'm staying. Interesting. It seems like Dusty Croissant is leaving. Oh, it has these lines on here now. That's weird. A couple people said they're staying. Very, very interesting. I'd catch one sight of the first dust tornado and I'd be Roadrunner up out of there. I'd stay. Without Google Maps, I'd never find my farm again. My shitty immune system couldn't take the allergies no matter how much I like my home. It's more because I'm scared of change. Fair. Facts. Fair. Okay, so who the fuck is in charge of this sinking ship? Now that you can tell what's going on in America, what the vibes are, the Dust Bowl, how terrible everything is, who the fuck is in charge? This guy right here, his name is Herbert Hoover. Hoover sucks, like the vacuum. That's what I would always tell my students. He was a Republican who believed in laissez-faire economics. Laissez-faire literally means hands off. So hands off economics is the government should not interfere with the free market economy. Swampy Owl 2753, thank you for subscribing. I'll drink to that. Also, I haven't really been drinking this. So, this is what Hoover thought. I miss when we didn't know how incompetent our politicians are on Twitter. Me too. The cognitive dissonance. He said, you're on your own. Good luck. Peace be with you. He said, good luck and be blessed. Have a great night. He believed that the strong work ethic of Americans would end the crisis. He would literally be in interviews and he'd be like, Americans are so inspiring. They work so hard. And I think that the American people will pull us out of this crisis. May the odds be ever in your favor. The invisible hand pushing America off a cliff. Stop. That's fucking hilarious. If you don't know, the invisible hand is like, when you're learning about capitalism, the invisible hand is like the market correcting itself, is like the magic of the invisible hand that makes capitalism work, but like it doesn't work. So homie said, y'all got brooms, sweep that dust out. Imagine being in the Dust Bowl and this is what the president says. He said, y'all got dust, but we don't really have Hoover vacuums, just Hoover me, my bad. He said, what, you all can't get a small loan of $1 million from your daddy? Shame. I think I've seen this film before. The American people could sweep, right? Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. So yeah, Herbert Hoover is not good. This is another good meme. Hoover to the American people after doing literally nothing during an economic and environmental crisis. Like, he didn't do shit. Biden during COVID. This is literally, are y'all's arms broken? Get dusted. Oh my god. This is so embarrassing for our country. It really is. This is so on brand for us that just because the president, like, didn't give a shit, just no one got anything for years. He was just like, you'll get through it. Biden literally right now. No, this is literally Joe Biden. Look at this video of Joe Biden. That's why it always gets swept under the rug. God, I hate it here. So what did Hoover do next? 1932, literally for 3 fucking years, or like 2.5. For 2.5 years, he did nothing. For 2.5 years, he did nothing. And then he created the Reconstruction Finance Corporation. He also cut taxes and met with business leaders. Like, he basically just had, like, brunch with a bunch of executives and was like, oh my god, you guys, this sucks. But he was relaxing. He's like, I'm literally in my relaxing era. I'm trying to do self-care. I cannot handle the depression right now. Saving capitalism, throw it out. Trump throwing paper towels, but Hoover throwing brooms instead. No, if this happened in the year of 2022, literally the president, Joseph Biden, would go to the Midwest and give people, he'd be like, we're sponsored by Swiffer. A great charity donation by Swiffer. They sent all these dusters, like, you know, the fucking, I actually have it. I don't have the duster on it, but you know the duster? Like, this is what they would give the people. Actually, it would be this without the duster. They'd be like, we are offering everyone a Swiffer duster handle and a coupon code to get the Swiffer dusting pads. I have a free vacuum for all of you if you help with the dust. Hoover is the person that complains about their first class flight to Mykonos to their waiter who's drowning under the weight of their student loans. It's 1-4 per address, not the coupon code. No, that's literally what would happen. Free feather dusters for everyone. Swampy Owl. That was a good first time chat, I must say. No, Joe Biden would just be like, I've experienced the tragedy and I know what it's like, and leave. For everything bad that happens to American people, Joe Biden just goes on TV and is like, I have a son and hard things have happened to me, and I'm with you during this time. Republicans won't work with me. And then he leaves. That's the whole thing. Like, I don't need to watch the news anymore, because that's it. Like, it's just that every time. Not the laptop charger Scott does. Not even the laptop, just the charger. Hoover's steps were too little, too late. Shocker. Hoover rejected the demand that the federal government should provide direct payments to unemployed and the needy. Because a bunch of people... Wow, was this a White House presser or what? I made fun of him for that in 2008. He literally only talked about taking the train to put his kids to bed. 25% off the Swiffer to bring it down to pre-inflation prices. Grandpa, if you don't like your goddamn job, I'll hide your dead checks. Joseph Robinette Biden asking Twitter what can be done about everything. God. Posting pics of him walking through the White House. Get to doing bitches. Is Robinette his real middle name? Is it? I think it is. It's something weird. But yeah, Hoover rejected the idea that he should just give money out because basically a bunch of people were like, hey, you should give money. Like, you should just give money to the unemployed people. And he was like, ugh, I don't want to, though. I don't feel like doing that. So I'm not going to. Oh my god, I just realized I forgot to post on my Instagram story that we were here. That sucks. Did I actually? Maybe I did. No, I didn't. Nice. Joe is literally the guy with the trolley switch. Yeah, he basically is. So, this is Hoover to the American people when they asked for help. Literally. This is his exact reaction. This is a video, actually. Hi, Spice Wolf. I don't really feel like it. It seems like it would take a lot of effort, and these days I'm more into not doing a ton of effort. How inclusive. It's like, I'll tell you no in any language. Okay, so how did people feel about Hoover? They fucking hated him. They found him to be very frustrating. So these little towns that are in these pictures right here were called Hoovervilles. They named the little shanty towns after him because it was like, it's your fucking fault, motherfucker, that I'm in here. So we're going to name it after you. You get the naming rights. Yay! Helping poor people and people of color was not his vibe. It just wasn't. He told us it was not his vibe. I don't know why we expected something else. So, if you... Why isn't that thing working? If you had to spend 2 weeks in a Hooverville and you could only bring one thing, what would you bring? That's so petty of them, and I love it. Apples, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for being on a 2-month streak, and thank you for that comment, because it was petty, and I love it. Hoover caught wearing Paris's Stop Being Poor t-shirt. Oh my god, I should have put that meme in here. Could you send the link again? Yes, I can. So if you could only bring one thing, what would you bring? I'm going to show you what I would bring right now. That's my one item that I'm bringing. My standalone hammock. Kylie Jenner. Not Kylie Jenner. She don't want to go. Kylie Jenner don't want to go to the Hooverville. She's not coming. Money. Not money. A gun to shoot my kids when they get annoying. Alcohol or soap. I bet both would be easy to barter with. A vibrator. That's another great choice. CBD babes. A thirst for revenge. What's a Hooverville? So a Hooverville is those shanty towns. So like the little shacks, like people were living in boxes in like a group. That's called a Hooverville. They named it after the president because they hated him. Herbert Hoover was the president and he was doing a terrible job. So Hoovervilles are like the little basically homeless camps that people were living in. I expected nothing less. Thank you. Drugs of all kinds. A toothbrush with a pick on the end. So lots of people are saying like a gun. I'm seeing a gun and a weapon, but I don't know if these were violent. I could see it going either way. I could see it either being, like, super violent or it being, like, we're all down bad. Why would we steal from each other? You know what I mean? Alcohol or weed. Nutritional shakes. That's a good idea. Oh, God. Edibles. A broom. A sewing kit. Ooh, that's a good idea. I would bring an iPad. And then I would show all the other people videos on my iPad. I'd be like, do you guys want to watch The Grapes of Wrath? This is going to blow your fucking mind. Or I would make them watch stand-up to see what they thought of it. But what about when you get the munchies? It's another difficult thing to consider. They got Wi-Fi there because I'm bringing my ex. They're going to bring us as a witch. I'd bring lingerie and just swindle dumb men. Ooh, another good idea. Love the strategizing here. I'm going to find you so we can watch your iPad together. Where's my iPad? Oh, I think my iPad's at my boyfriend's house. That's usually where it is. He makes fun of me because he calls me like an iPad kid because he literally like walk away and I just go on my phone and then he'll come back and I'll be in the exact same position and he's like, you just really just go into iPad kid mode and you're good. Like he was like, I could have left and you wouldn't have noticed. And I'm like, iPad kid. Like... You have an iPad kid as a girlfriend. I don't know what that says about you. Okay, so let's do more Great Depression stuff. So this shit's fucking crazy. Lady Nice Butt followed me. Thanks. I can't eat without watching something on my phone. To Tamagotchi. Hi, I'm here for Hooverville camp. I brought my Tamagotchis. Do you guys want to hang out later? So, the bonus army... or the bonus expeditionary force. Basically, this was a group of World War I veterans, and they were like, hey, we were supposed to get a bonus. We were supposed to get some extra money for fighting in World War II, so they were going to have a protest because they said that they never got paid their money. They were like, it's the Depression, we need our fucking money, we're going to have a protest because we never got the money. And then Hoover had the National Guard shoot at them to disperse them. He had the National Guard shoot at them to disperse them. So when these veterans of World War I showed up to protest, and like, I don't know, judging by the pic, it seems like a pretty managed protest. Like, there's not that many people there. No one's really being that intense. Like, seems like they were kind of going about it the way you're supposed to or whatever. And veterans bonus onto Washington. So sweet to shoot directly into the crowd of veterans. Bro, shell shock must have been going crazy hard. Back then, they didn't really know about PTSD. They called it shell shock because they were like, oh, he's a little weird. They would just be like, oh, he came back from the war and something's not quite right. Shell shock, meaning you're shocked from being around the shells of so many bullets. So, I'm sure a lot of these dudes were shell shocked, and then the National Guard shoots at them. That helped. I'm sure that helped. Hoover to veterans literally just asking for their paychecks. I'm surprised he wouldn't shoot them himself. He seems like he's afraid of confrontation. Like, to me, like, it's so much easier to just be the bad guy and take accountability from the jump. I didn't even think of the shell-shocked guys. They said, thanks for your service, and I'll return it with bullets. So, like, it's so much easier to just take up accountability and to be the bad guy. Like, if I was Hoover, I would have gone outside and been like, hey, guys, I know it sucks that you didn't get your bonus. If I could write you the check right now, I would, but we don't have the money. Like, read the room, look around. I don't have it to give to you, but I'm really sorry about that. Is there anything I can do for you in the meantime? I'd get the White House chef throwing some coffee and bread out there. Like, even if he didn't have the money to give him a bonus, he could have just, like, kind of finessed it a little bit better and made a better vibed environment. Literally just more money. I made a mock-up smile for the shirt. Oh my god, send it to me. I'm gonna put my email in the chat. I need to get going on the merch stuff. I was gonna do that over my 5-day weekend, but yesterday I scrapbooked for 5 hours instead. That's my email. It's a Walmart parking lot with 2 T's. That reminded me of the shitty tie-dye Kent State shirts that Urban Outfitters made in 2015. Oh, those were bad. I don't know how that one got approved. So in 1932, there was an election and the U.S. said, goodbye, motherfucker, to Herbert Hoover. Pretty much every state voted for FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So the U.S. said bye-bye to Herbert Hoover. You can see that map is looking blue. And FDR comes into office. Damn, PA really letting me down. FDR comes into office. Franklin Delano Roosevelt campaigned on a few things. Basically, when he campaigned, he was like, hey, prohibition fucking sucks. We should end it. The Great Depression also fucking sucks. I will try to end it, and I will give you a job. And so people were like, you got my vote, because Herbert Hoover was like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. This isn't my fault. It's not the government's fault. Get a job. Figure it out. So obviously, everyone voted for FDR because he was like, I'll do the New Deal. I'll give you a job. And I think prohibition is stupid. So everyone was like, okay, I'm fucking in. Because also it was prohibition was happening at this time. If you watched my stream about prohibition and stuff like that, you would know. It's about the mafia too. It's a good one. It's on YouTube. Drinking and money, sign me up. No, literally. I'd be like, that's all you had to say. I'd be like, do you need my name? Do you need a number or anything? You can telegram me. If you need anything, I will be there. I'd be like, what's my polling place? Think You Deserve Money and Weed is still a valid political platform, and yet people get threatened for running for it now. So I've been saying the Democrats, if they want to win every election, legalize marijuana, cancel student loan debt. You have every election in the bag. Like, it's not hard. They literally pay consultants millions of dollars, and I'm right here giving it for free. That's all you have to do, and literally everyone will vote for you. Like, it doesn't seem hard to me. It seems obvious. It seems very obvious. Okay, so Franklin Roosevelt gets elected. His wife Eleanor was loved by the public. Many people wrote her letters, and so she was like telling Roosevelt what the fuck was going on. So FDR was like a lot more connected to the American people than most other presidents were, because his wife were like, people need coats, they have no food, people are not able to take care of their kids. Like, the mock tea has been emailed. Let me look. Eleanor was my girl. She was gay. Love her. I've also heard this, that she was gay. It's loading. Smile. Smile. I might do it. I like it. I might do it like different colors. Like I might do it like, I think I'm going to do it like this, but with like more of like a pink glitter vibe, like this kind of a vibe, you know? But I do really like it. I appreciate. Thank you. Smile. Okay, so Roosevelt came into office with a team of talented, reform-minded advisors, and he went on the radio to give fireside chats. So basically it was called a fireside chat because everyone would gather around a fire because that was the heat source to listen. People were super into this. Like, before this, A, Herbert Hoover was doing nothing. B, and the cowgirl hat. Why is cowgirl censored? So, B, no president had ever really been, like, super engaging with the American people. Like, they weren't interacting with them a ton. Think about this is before we had TV, and radio was still very new. So the fact that he was going on the radio like on a regular basis talking to people was very important. A couple people have said they're cool and they've listened to them. He does a really good job. He literally will explain like, hey, I had this meeting today, this is what we're doing with the banks. FDR had a podcast. Video killed the radio star FDR. He would be like, this is what we're doing with the banks. This is how we're going to make it better. So, like, people really liked him because not only was he doing stuff to help them, he was telling them what was going on and explaining it in a way that made sense to them. So, fireside chats. FDR to the American people on his fireside chat. Y'all have to know what this is from. I love this video. But yeah, it was literally basically a podcast. So, like, people he started the white male podcast pipeline. Transparency in Politics, never heard of her. So people in the Hoovervilles would like all gather around a little like radio that they could find and fucking listen to the fireside chats. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Top tier vine. It is a top tier vine. So FDR's first action was to address the banking crisis because if the bank, we need community like that now. No, literally. If the bank lost all your fucking money in 1929, do you think you are going to want to use a bank again? Answer in the chat. If the bank lost all your money in 1929, are you going to want to use a bank again? Are you going to put your money in the bank again? Nope. No, the fuck you are not. So we had a banking crisis because no one trusted the banks and no one is putting their money in the banks. And our entire banking system collapsed in 1929 and is still a fucking disaster. And no one wants to put their money in the banks. Been thinking about pulling it out. LOL. So FDR declared a bank holiday, a 4-day bank holiday, where all banks, literally every single bank in the United States, was closed and inspected by federal regulators, and only healthy banks were allowed to reopen after the holiday. So now people felt a little better about putting their money into the banks. They still had a lot of trust issues, obviously. Most people did. But now, at least, did this count for credit unions too? I don't think credit unions were a thing back then, and I have no idea how credit unions work. So at least, like, now, if you're putting your money in the bank, you know that someone gave them the green light. You know that a government entity showed up there, read their fucking records and shit, and were like, yeah, y'all can stay open. FDIC is the only reason my grandma trusted banks. Yeah, we're going to talk about the FDIC too. They're just community banks. The board is made up of locals. I don't know if that was a thing back then. He said turn it off and turn it back on. Yeah, basically. Oh, turn it back to 1. Yeah, pretty much. So FDR to the banks. Literally. He was like, shh, shut the fuck up. We're going to check and make sure everything is good. We're checking. We're checking everything out. Behave. Plus the interest rate is higher. Oh, interesting. Okay, so that was his first plan, was the banking crisis. Then he made the New Deal. The New Deal is basically his plan to fix the United States. So it was created to fix the country, and it developed many new federal agencies, and they were all known by their abbreviations. So you can see here, like the CCC, the FACA, the CWA. The NRA is not the NRA you're thinking of. Different NRA. This NRA is fine. Different thing. This one has nothing to do with guns. So you can see here's FDR, here's Congress, This is the United States. I love political cartoons. So this guy right here is the United States. You can tell because he's Uncle Sam, and look at his pants and his socks. It's the Stars and Stripes. So they have all these medicine bottles to try and fix the country. So basically, the point of these programs was to prime the pump of the economy. You know, when you're doing your makeup, you put your primer on first. Priming the economy means like, let's get money into the economy. His biggest strategy was like, let's get people working. If we place money into consumers' hands, it will fix things. He's like, if we give someone a job, they're gonna rent a house, buy food, buy clothes, buy household appliances, buy all that shit. So it's gonna help the economy if we just put people to work. So there were 3 types of programs. There's relief, recovery, and reform. Relief programs are designed to help people right away. I think the U.S. government needs to do this again. Like, I think we're in a similar crisis right now, and we need to have a new deal. And I honestly think we can do a lot of the exact same programs and structure them the exact same way, this being one of them. So the CCC, obviously we need to like update it for technology and like make sure everything's inclusive and shit like that, but you get what I'm saying. So the CCC is a relief program because it's giving unemployment relief. It's giving someone a job. The Civilian Conservation Corps, basically they did environmental projects and you could just go work for them and then they would pay you money and that was your job. So this is getting money into the hands of consumers. Recovery programs. Recovery programs are programs that are designed to create long-term employment. My great-grandmother with grandpa was in the CCC. I found his records for it. Ooh. So recovery programs are focused on stabilizing the economy, creating long-term employment, things with agriculture, basically like relief programs are like, we want to help you right now, and recovery programs are like, everything is really fucking bad, so let's try and fix things that are a little more complicated. Like, it's easy to give someone a job and hand them money, but some of this shit is like a lot more complicated. I feel like rich people would never let this happen now. We might have to pay a visit to their homes. The U.S. infrastructure is crumbling, so there's plenty of work, just not corporate profit level work. The government would partner with Amazon for jobs, free classes, and occupations. Yeah. So, sorry, sometimes the chat be distracting me. But yeah, I think we should do this now with like, there are some rural areas near me in North Florida who need internet infrastructure. Exactly, like laying internet infrastructure, working on environmental projects, repairing our infrastructure, our bridges, things like that. Like, we need to have these programs again. So another example of this program is the National Youth Administration. It focused on providing work and education for Americans between ages 16 and 25. They were paid per month for work study projects at their school. So you can see how this is different. Like this CCC, it's like, here's your job, here's your paycheck, and then the recovery programs are like a little more robust and thinking a little more long-term. Utilities should be on the list of things you can't commercialize. Plus, it would train people with skills they can take to other jobs afterwards. Yeah, no, it's literally a phenomenal idea. It's just like our government hates us and everything of that nature, so it's kind of hard out here, brutal out here. So, a lot of programs are both relief and recovery because they're giving people relief, they're giving them a job, and their job is to fix the shit that we need to recover from, was kind of their strategy. So, like, one of my favorite government projects ever is the Works Progress Administration, or the WPA. You can see Work Pays America. They built large-scale things like dams, bridges, hospitals, and schools. So this made better infrastructure. A lot of the U.S. infrastructure was built by New Deal programs. A lot of our highways, our bridges, our hospitals, our schools, our things like that was built during this time by these people doing this program. Texas privatized their electric grid and it went to shit during the winter storm last year. So yeah, don't privatize that. Yeah, it's really bad. Ooh. Okay, so the WPA put roughly 8.5 million Americans to work. This is relief because it's giving people jobs. It employed mostly unskilled men to carry out public work projects. They built 4,000 new schools, 130 hospitals, laid 9,000 miles of storm drains and sewer lines, built 29,000 bridges, constructed 150 new airfields, and paved or repaired 280,000 miles of roads and planted 24 million trees. Bring back the WPA. Bring it back. Bring it back. National parks were made more accessible during all this too. Yeah, they did a lot of work in national parks, like putting in bathrooms and trails and shit like that. And the National Park Service grew dramatically. Bring back the WPA, guys. Like, I think this would solve a lot of problems if we brought back the WPA. And then we have reform programs. So that was relief and recovery. Relief and recovery overlap a lot. Reform is kind of its own beast. Reform programs are to prevent this disaster from reoccurring. Reform programs are why the 2008 recession was not as bad as this. It's why any future recession would not be as bad as this, hopefully, is because of things like the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. This is what protects your money in the bank. When I put my money in the bank, I know it is safe because the FDIC is protecting it. If I go to the bank today and they say, misredacted, we don't have your money, I can call the FDIC and the FDIC will force the bank to get me my money. The bank does still loan out your money. That's very normal that the bank does that. But the FDIC makes sure that they don't loan out too much of it, and they make sure that your money is safe there and that you have access to your money when you want to withdraw it. How are all these old ass politicians not more aware of this? They are. I think they just don't care. Is the tricky part there. We have another matchy. I don't know what it looks like. You have 45 seconds. I don't know what the matchy looks like. Time to pay some house visits. No, I think we need to go to politicians' home and talk to them about these matters. Like, I want to go talk to the Congress people about this. I want to get their thoughts. They're not on the stream, so let's just go to their houses and talk to them. I would love to know their thoughts about this matter. You know that song, Suddenly I See? I always hear the FDIC. Oh my god. It's no longer affects them and they're bought by corporations. Yeah. True. Love that for us. Love that for us. Oh, I want to, like, scratch this acne so bad. I'm, like, fighting for my life right here. Yeah, politicians don't care about us. Woohoo. We need new ones. So this is the matchy: relief programs, recovery programs, and reform programs. So you can see a lot of this shit is left over from when I used this with students. So here's some more examples of programs. I actually have, like, this is a project I would do with my classes. They would make little brochures about these. It was very fun. So the Civilian Conservation Corps, we already talked about this a little bit, provided jobs and relocation. So they basically, young men would show up and be like, what's up? And the U.S. Army was in charge of them, and they were like, build some shit. So they built a lot of parks. They did a lot of outdoorsy things. You can see reclaimed land, drained swamps, stuff like that. The Tennessee Valley Authority, they brought electricity to very rural areas of Tennessee. I think we need to do this again, but for the entire United States and for high-speed internet. A lot of areas do not have access to high-speed internet. So I think we should have, like, a U.S. project that puts people to work, bringing high-speed internet to people. The Works Progress Administration, we already talked about. Bring back the TVA. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, we already talked about. The National Labor Relations Act, this reaffirmed workers' rights to bargain for wages and hours and working conditions and to strike. So this protected workers' rights. This was really, really good for unions. I wonder how prisons work during all of this. I don't know, but back then, not very many people were incarcerated. Like, now we really live in a police state where a ton of people are incarcerated, but back then people didn't be getting incarcerated like that. We also have the Federal Housing Administration. They helped repair, rebuild, and insure older homes. So a lot of people's houses were falling apart, especially elderly people. Their houses needed new roofs. They were leaking. They had no stairs. They had, like, holes in the walls. So the Housing Administration fix a lot of those. This is a really, really important one. The SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission, this is who regulates the stock market. So they regulate stock and bond trading. So all that shit about, like, buying on speculation and, like, all these shady companies collecting all this money from investors, that's, like, kind of not allowed anymore because of the SEC. The SEC doesn't do as much as they should, in my opinion, but before this, they didn't even exist. So I guess progress. Here's another thing about the TVA. Power to Win, 10 years of TVA. You can see they build dams for electricity and stuff. So, What actually ended the Great Depression? The New Deal and stricter regulations on banking and businesses helped a lot, but ultimately World War II ended it. So you can see World War II started in 1939 and then the US entered in 1941. This is when FDR took office. So you can see unemployment was going down. Like the trend was unemployment going down, except for this part right here. But unemployment was going down. The New Deal was working. But then when the US entered World War II, it was like, get your asses to work. Don't fall. It was like, everyone get a job. They investigate MLMs too, right? The SEC? Yes. So like you can report MLMs to the Securities and Exchange Commission. It's true. If you think World War II never happened, do you think our recovery would have been as successful as it was with World War II? I think it would have been slower. I think we still would have recovered. It just would have taken longer, in my opinion. So World War II is really what drove everybody back to work, because when a bunch of men joined the military, then those jobs opened up and then women filled those jobs. So just like unemployment was super fucking low and way more jobs opened because we had to like make guns and shit like that. So Americans did take advantage of New Deal programs. Millions of people were put to work. Millions of people got to go to school because of this. People started using banks more often. People's homes were getting repaired. The Kim K audio plays during World War II. Nobody wants to work these days. Get your fucking ass up and work. So yeah, lots of people took advantage of the New Deal. All unemployed people reporting for the US government to build shit. They literally were just like, just build shit. They're like, build a dam, build a bridge, build a road, build an airport, build anything. They just wanted to put people to work. That was the plan. They're like, we got to get these bitches working so that they can spend money. Instead of going to war, what if we paid people for childcare and homemaking? That would be a better plan, I think. My ears are itchy. We're about to play the game, though. It's time to play the game. It's time. Okay, so the game is 10 questions. The only thing you win is bragging rights. I'm going to send the Nearpod in the chat again right now, so if you would like to join. What's like the most depression-themed one? Probably underwater, because everyone was underwater on their payments. Very off topic, but the middle school in my town was one of the only schools allowed to be built during World War II. Interesting. All right, so if you want to play the game, I guess building schools wouldn't be that big of a priority in World War II. If you want to play the game, you can pick your little character, person, a button, whatever. It's 10 multiple choice questions. I tried to make this one not super hard. I gave you some hints during the lesson. Yeah, go ahead and pick your people. You guys, I have to go back to work tomorrow, and I haven't been to work since Friday. I have not been to my job since Friday. I worked from home today, but I haven't been there since Friday, and I left at like 3 o'clock on Friday. We gotta make soldiers' uniforms. We don't have time for school. No, literally. Literally, that was their plan. They were like, no time for education. We must make machine guns. Perfect. This is perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. I'll give you a couple more seconds to join the game. There's 19 of you on there. That's pretty good numbers out of 68 of you here. It was something with brick rationing. I don't know. Yeah, there was lots of rationing in World War II. Can you imagine? Well, when you can be a soldier at 13, who's left? Can you imagine if the U.S. government tried to put rations in place now? People lost their damn mind when Publix said you could only buy 1 pack of paper towels, 1 pack of toilet paper, 2 things of pasta. People lost their ever-loving minds. Can you imagine if the government told us how much sugar and butter we could buy? Not having sugar now would kill me, I think. No, literally, I would start, like, having palpitations. Like, I would be not okay. Like, I have so much sugar in my coffee every day. This has a ton of sugar. I eat candy all the time. Like, I would literally be, like, going through withdrawals. Straight up, that wouldn't work. Yeah, like, people would be killing each other. Like, I don't know what we would do. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit start. I haven't seen anyone join in a second. There's 23 of you. If you are late to the game, it'll still let you join now. What did we learn about today? Tell me what we learned. The store I worked at during peak panic had to literally ration packs of toilet paper. Exactly. People freaked out at that. They would never be able to handle a real ration. There's a guy on TikTok who makes depression-era recipes all the time. Oh, I think I've seen those. Dusty, Croissant, Miguel, and Daphne slaying right now. So is Alyssa, Mistyfield, Heather. So today we learned about my childhood fixation, which is the Great Depression. Both of those answers were right. Congratulations. Teet teet. What year was the pandemic that we learned about? What year was the pandemic? I'll give you a hint. It ended in 1921. It's a good hint. That knocks out 2 of your answers. I'm in a good mood. Thought I'd be nice. Treat you real nice. Spanish flu goes hard. All right, so what was happening in the economy of the 1920s? We talked about this for a while. What was happening in the economy of the 1920s? Q likes bugs. Thanks for the follow. The way the Spanish flu is why Rosemary Kennedy had a lobotomy is insane to me. Your answer here was growing rapidly. The Smoot-Hawley tariff had a positive impact on trade. Did it have a positive impact on trade? True or false? All y'all answered fast. Good job. The day the stock market crashed was October 29th of 1929. What was this day called? I was going to give you a date question, and then I decided not to be an asshole and give you what was this day called. Oof. I just saw lightning. Oh no. Is it raining? It said it was going to storm and didn't happen. Pick Nicki Minaj. Not going to lie, I've had some bad vibes Thursdays. Yeah. It says rain may form in the next 60 minutes, whatever that means. Nah, that's not going to. I've had some bad vibes Thursdays. Thursdays are kind of rough days because you're still just so far away from the weekend. My TV is going crazy right now. I'll have to turn it off. I think I can do it from my phone. All right, so the stock market crashed, only affected people with investments. Rain on me, tsunami. Ugh, my phone's not on the Wi-Fi. I hate technology. False, the entire banking system collapsed. That is true. The entire banking system did in fact collapse. I mean, the answer's false, but... All right, the average family income dropped by what percentage? Why aren't you in your usual streaming spot? So we had a whole conversation about it when I first got on here, but I'll give you the too long didn't read version. Is basically because my roommate is in that area, so I'm in a different spot right now. It was the too long didn't read version. All right. Oh my God, we only have a couple questions left. What is the name of the series of drought and dust storms? That was the Dust Bowl. I'm literally in Hawaii right now, and I've been on your stream today and yesterday because I love it here. Oh my God! We're streaming in Hawaii. Which president did the most to handle the Great Depression? I made a lot of typos in this. Wow. Which president did the most to handle the Great Depression? That is FDR. FDR did the most to handle it. Hoover didn't do anything. He didn't do jack shit. Avio Obama. I read it wrong, I know, I'm sorry, it was a hard question. And I made a typo, I'm sorry. What was the plan FDR created to fix the mess of the Great Depression? You can hear the cars outside, the zoom zoom. The New Deal, y'all answered that super quick. Alrighty, in first place we have Dusty Croissant. In second place we have Nia, then Max, then Daphne, then Julia, then Alyssa, then Semi-Intelligent, who is more than semi-intelligent to be in seventh. Apples, Misty Failed, Lizzie, Miguel, Alyssa, Carolyn, Amber, Rose, Eva, E, Tess, Sar, Heather, Mia, Maya, Harriman Draper, Haley, Hello, Kara, and then Colin, who I guess tapped out. Lemur Banana, your Dusty Croissant won. For real, FDR kind of slayed as a president. What type of evil shit did he do? Here, let me get the music off. I'd like to thank Miss Redacted for teaching me everything I know. So, FDR's big bugaboo is the Japanese internment of the World War II. Basically, he just put all the Japanese people in prison during World War II, even though they were completely innocent. So that, and he was racist. I mean, doing that is racist, but he was racist towards other people that were not Asian. Like, he wasn't just racist towards Asian people, or Japanese people, specifically speaking. But yeah. So, FDR slayed when it came to economic policy. Like, slayed when it came to economic policy. Really stan FDR's economic policy. However, a lot of other things he did were really not the vibes. If you look at his track record compared to most U.S. presidents, he also low-key married his cousin. Awesome first-time chat. Pretty iconic. Pag.com. First-time chat. He also married his cousin. That was more normal back then. Doesn't make it okay, but just to give context. But yeah, I would say he's definitely not the worst president we've had. Like, comparatively. He didn't do as bad of stuff as a lot of other ones, but he did do a lot of bad stuff. So, you know. This lesson was awesome. Thank you. I'm glad you liked it. Love this class. Proof that public education just sucks the fun out of learning. So this is something I talk about a decent amount because, like, the fact that kids don't have fun at school shows how bad we're fucking up school because your brain likes to learn. Like, learning is something that your brain enjoys doing. My ice does something. Learning is something your brain likes to do, likes to engage in. Is very satisfying. So the fact that the center of learning, everyone hates it there, shows that we're really, really doing something wrong. I'm a Canadian and never got a lot of this info. Loved learning it this way. This lesson was incredible. I'm glad. This is my favorite topic to teach. You can probably tell I was like super into this. The memes were really good. I love teaching the Great Depression. I think it's great. I loved history because the teachers were fun. You remind me of my high school history teacher. Was I your high school history teacher? Who would win the Mid-Southwest of the world's economic power or one Dusty Boy? So yeah, I'll leave this up for a couple seconds. I was shook by all those Yanks who'd never heard of the Dust Bowl. Yeah, bro, Dust Bowl be going hard. I've been obsessed with the Dust Bowl. When I was a little kid, my family used to eat dinner together every single night. Like, that was a rule. Like, no TV, no phones. We're eating dinner together every night. And I would always talk about the Dust Bowl. I would talk about how many people died in the Dust Bowl. I would talk about how they died. I would talk about how people would, like, put wet rags on themselves to try and protect them from the dust. And my parents were just like, cool. Cool, cool, cool. When I graduate, I'll low-key will slide to your Twitch. My fave history teacher, she would love it. My fave history teacher was Mr. Shore. He was a grumpy old man that claimed he didn't like us, but gave heartfelt speeches about drinking and driving around prom and went to so many sports events because he secretly cared so much about us. Sometimes the best teachers are the old men that pretend to hate you, and you're like, you don't hate me, you love me. And they're like, no, I don't. And you're like, okay. I'm in Wisconsin, and all my history teachers are obsessed with the Dust Bowl. We did a Dust Bowl simulator. I should do a Dust Bowl simulator where I just throw sand at you. I just go to the beach and pick up a handful of sand and just throw it at you. That's our Dust Bowl simulator. That's the Title I budget of schools, Dust Bowl simulators, just throwing sand at you. Old man pretending to hate you is a special kind of love. We should be discussing this in therapy, I think. Oh, God. Queerly B followed me. Oh my god, speaking of queer, happy Pride. Today's the first day of Pride. We're going to do a Pride lesson next. I don't know exactly what it's going to be about. I think it's going to be historical figures that we did not know were gay, but they are gay. Yeah, we might do that next. I don't know. I kind of low-key don't want to do that one, though. I think I want to do Stonewall because, like, I like history because it's a story, so I like to tell history as a story. So to me, just going through a list of people is not a story, and I don't think it would be as fun, but I'm open to it. It might be like, maybe I'll do a 2-in-1, because Stonewall, yeah, I'll do a 2-in-1, because Stonewall's a pretty small topic. Like, not a small topic of importance, but it's like a one-day event, you know what I mean? Like, there's not, like, the Great Depression was 10 years. Like, it's not as expansive of a topic. So yeah. Ooh, you'll email me the good ones? Thank you. Can we talk about Secret Guys of History? I've been following you on TikTok for a hot sec, but this is my first stream. When do you usually stream? I usually stream on Mondays and Wednesdays at 7:30. Wednesdays is always history. I always do some kind of history lesson on Wednesdays, and then Mondays, it varies on the Monday. I do education horror stories. Sometimes we look at houses that we hate. Sometimes we do, like, people can anonymously submit gossip that's happened to them, and we'll talk about that. But Wednesdays are, like, the history ones. 1980s, AIDS epidemic, Reagan. Yeah, I thought about doing that one too. I think I'm going to do Stonewall and the gay figures from history one. I think I'm going to do that combo one next week is my plan. Or no, it's a yeehaw vibe tonight. Look at this tattoo that I have. It's fake. It's not real. Can you see it? Tell me if you can see this. Y'all are getting free feet right now. You're welcome. There's probably going to be creepos in the chat. Watch it make this the thumbnail. But look at this. I don't know if you can tell. It says yeehaw. I bought these fake tattoos, and my boyfriend was like, yeah, guess something, like, subtle and sexy. And I was like, You should make a gender-neutral bathroom slide with all the famous bigots, too. I don't think we can fit all the famous bigots on one slide. That's a big roster. I love watching this while I was working LMAO. I actually learned something. Learning is good for you. We love to learn. I have to go, though, because it's 9:40. So I want to go watch TV and then go to bed. This was great, as always. Thanks for being here. This is my favorite topic to teach. Hope you enjoyed yourself. But going to be signing off. I will upload this to YouTube in case you want to watch it twice for some reason. Have a good night. Make good decisions. Get enough sleep. Drink enough water. Have a healthy snack. All the things. It's 9:41 here. Wild. I literally put these streams on my calendar. Oh my god. Okay. Love you. Good night. Blinks, first time chat. Thank you for the good luck. Night, night, night. Love you so much. Thanks for coming.